Yeah, we take that.
All right, Rudy, you talked about the Royals. The first thing we're going to do, we're just do a little temp check. We'll give a couple minutes. Everyone will kind of get a little bit of – we'll talk about the various teams that we all either subject ourselves to or enjoy watching.
No.
We'll get there.
I don't know if you were referring me, but I don't enjoy watching.
A little bit of me as well. Rudy, tell me about the Royals. I know you said it's easy when you follow two teams and one of them is doing better to put them on the back burner, but how are you feeling about the Royals?
Yeah, it's been, certainly, especially in the recent week or two, it's been rough going. I mean, I haven't been very tapped in, but check in, and we're 2-8 in the last 10, 5 games back in a division that is pretty mid. And I mean, I think that's, you don't hold up against the Tigers and you're going to find yourself 5 games back. And I think the biggest question coming back for the Royals this year was, is there an offense there? Because last year, phenomenal pitching, offense was good enough. This year, the offense is not good enough. I'm just looking down the standings right now, and I think we are tied bottom in terms of runs scored in the league with the Rangers, who happen to be leading their division. So maybe a little small sample size there, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I mean, if you tell me before the end of April we're sending MJ Melendez down, that is bad, dude. Like, they need something to come from somewhere, and I don't know where it's going to be. Without looking too closely at individual stats, I think that, this is just kind of, it's a similar story to last year, but last year was sort of a step up on all fronts, and now they got to find something, or it's going to be kind of middle of the road all the way down, which is what a lot of people thought, and that might just be what this team is.
I think it's even worse than I imagined. I'm looking at it now, it's been pretty publicized how bad the offense has been. Like, Bobby Witt, obviously put Bobby Witt aside because he's Bobby Witt, but there's one hitter other than Bobby Witt that's played, the amount of games to qualify that's over a 600 OPS, and it's Michael Garcia. Which John, I'm sure you'd agree, very sustainable Maikel Garcia run to 121. Yeah, literally. Like Montana is too, but he's played 20 play appearances, something like that. Other than that, everybody else's OPS under 600. That's like wild. Dude, Jonathan India has been miserable. I mean, I remember.
Wait. No. Hold on. This is Jonathan India, who's third on the team in qualified WRC plus. Anyway, continue.
568 OPS.
And it is a 69 WRC plus, just so we're all clear.
Good. Nice.
Shout out Chip Carey for that one. I feel I've got a bit of egg on my face to start the year because I certainly poo-pooed the Reds trading for Brady Singer and giving up India. Well, not moving on from India, but just what they got. And Brady Singer has looked as advertised if he played in a respectable ballpark, and India has been horrid.
So I haven't watched to see kind of where you go from here. I mean, I think the biggest things you're looking for are for offensive guys who should be there, like Vinny, like Salvi, to turn things around. Otherwise, I mean, you're still not getting nearly enough from spots, 4 through 9, even if you have that top 3 that the Royals think they have. And then, of course, maybe a little bit of rotation regression was to be expected. I mean, Reagan's, Waka, Bubic are putting in okay numbers. Bubic has been great. I think that should continue. But like Seth Lugo, he's 35. Under the hood, it's not looking good like it did last year. That might just be
or something. I scrolled by it earlier. It was like a 6 FIP or something. Yeah.
So that might be the way of things. And I mean, if you're the Royals, you did a great job of coming up with guys who were maybe a little undervalued last year. But when 2 of those guys are Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo on the wrong side of 30, like, you need a lot to go right to keep that going year over year. So that's that at the moment.
Rudy, it's Rudy and John. It's funny you both bring up FIP because I was actually talking with my friend today. FIP, especially this time of the year, is such a hilarious thing to look at. Not to discredit the point that you made, John, but only because
that's fair. I do agree.
Miles Michaelis is rocking a 2.98 FIP. I made the joke. I'm like, if I gave even the slightest fuck about him as a person, I would be like, he's due. Like, clearly he's just been unlucky. But I can't find it within me to pretend to care about that man at this point in my life. But hilarious, man. FIP can provide some juicy narratives. So
absolutely. Like I said, this
I think
the season like that, any defensive metric, like they're so wonky. 3 weeks.
Talk to me about Jordan Walker plus 2 OAN. Dude. Gold Glove inbound, man.
Of course. Let's see. I guess last thing I didn't really touch on much is the bullpen. It's looked solid. I mean, guys that you think are going to be there, Urseg, Estevez, Lynch, have all looked pretty good. Hunter Harvey was doing great, and then you lose him for the year. So I don't know. It's the sort of thing where it's like there's still good guys on this team. There's still like half of a really solid roster here, but you need a full solid roster.
I'll be honest. I'm surprised at the Lynch emergence so far this year. That was a guy that, as a prospect, came up, and it was like, this is the year. And I Charlie Brown footballed myself like 3 years in a row on him, and I just finally had to let him go. And then that's just a class. That's the way it goes in baseball. The moment you're like, you give up on someone, it's like, well, actually, effective out of the pen now.
Yeah, and there's a particular, I think there's almost always a particular role that a hard-throwing lefty can play, especially in a bullpen. So it's nice to see him come into that a little bit more.
How about on the north side of Chicago, Rudy? How are you feeling about the Cubs so far?
I am ecstatic about the Cubs. I think it's hard not to get pretty and so I messaged about this in our Discord, right? But there was an article that MLB.com ran early on in the season, maybe first week or something, where they talked about 6 teams that really need a good April to feel confident about 2025. And they threw the Cubs in that article, which I think is fair enough, right? You've gone and you've put in, prospects to trade for Kyle Tucker. You've acquired Ryan Presley after not coming up with Tanner Scott in the free agent market. And so you've gone in on a couple of chips that, particularly with Tucker only being under contract for a year guaranteed, say we are going to win this division in 2025, or that's what we're hoping for, right? Which is, I think the Cubs are completely, it's a smart move, right? The NL Central, or both Central divisions really, as they have been forever, are kind of middling. And so if you're the team that says, I'm going to go in and I'm going to win this thing, you're giving yourself a really good chance. And so in that regard, it does make sense, right? That you want a strong April, you want to kick the season off right. But the reason that I brought this up in our Discord is because I think it's a little bit unfair to say that it's April or bust for the Cubs when their April schedule is absolutely brutal. We've already played the Dodgers twice, and starting tonight, which is Tuesday, April 27th, we kick off the final 2 games of the season series against the Dodgers. So it'll be 3 times that we played the Dodgers, including flying to Tokyo and back to start the season early and interrupt spring training. We've already played the Diamondbacks twice. We've already played the Padres twice. We've already played the Rangers. We got the Phillies coming up as well. So by the end of the month, there will have been a 3-game set with the A's, which the Cubs crushed them, and a couple of games against the Pirates. And then everything else, every other game is against a team that's like consensus top 10 in the league, right? Yeah. So all that being said, right? I didn't say every top 10 team in the league. I just said every team is a consensus top 10.
Make sure I got that in.
So all that being said, right? You're midway through this gauntlet, and obviously there's games to play. There's a lot of season left, but the Cubs are sitting 14-10, and that's coming back, right? In some sense, throw away 2 games in Tokyo. The Cubs are 14-8. And they've been playing a ridiculous schedule. They already had to do a West Coast road trip. Like I said, spring training was interrupted. So just everything is exactly where you want it to be. Like if you could have said best case scenario where you want the Cubs to be, I think this is like the high end of 14-10. Like if you're projecting better than that at this point, you were a little too high on the Cubs. So to be where they're at right now and to have things looking as good as they are, in particular, it's just amazing the difference that you go out and you get an impact bat like Kyle Tucker, and this offense is stellar. It's been really fun to watch where they're coming up with runs when they need it. They're hitting the ball well. It's just like Ian Happ hasn't even been playing that well. Like there are guys that still
reincarnated Buster Posey behind the plate right now. Carson
Kelly's insane.
Hey. Cardinals, let John Mozeliak cook, dude. Cardinals brother right there.
So, I don't know. That's all to say that I think that it's hard not to be really optimistic at this point. And there have been some games where things haven't quite come through in the right way, but like it feels like there's a bit of a fight to this team as well that hasn't existed recently. Like last Thursday, they played just an absurd game against the Diamondbacks, but second time this year against the Diamondbacks, where you go to the 8th inning with the lead and they put up like 8 to 10 runs and take the lead. And the Cubs didn't lay down the first time, but they didn't win the game. But they pulled it like to look at that game and you're in the bottom of the 8th and pull it all the way back and come out with the win. Like it's not only that things have been looking good kind of on both sides of the ball, but that it feels like there's kind of a spirit to this team. And, it's been fun to watch in a way that I think Cubs teams haven't really felt like in some time. So, it's tough. I mean, losing Justin Steele for the season, that's going to be something that's hard to weather. So it'll be interesting to see where they come back from that. Sandy Alcantara will finish the season as a Cub, and then we'll be all set to go from there. So
I like that.
You will rally around Colin Rea, and you will. Dude, the Steele news definitely came out of left field because I was there for his last start, and he looked really good after being terrible all year. And I was like, all right, like he figured it out. Like it was 7 shutout. He looked phenomenal.
And it's so hard. I mean, it's so hard to see, but he comes out and even when he's pitching well, the fastball velocity's down, and boom, elbows cooked, and you're done for the year. Like it is what it is. It's the nature of pitchers in 2025. His career is starting to go. I mean, with the string of injuries that he's had since he really broke out a couple of years ago, his career is starting to fall into the more serious what if territory because he started his breakout a bit older. So I think he's like pushing 30 now if he's not 30 already, and that's multiple years now where you're missing serious time. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just gonna come down to with him I mean, we could talk about like the DeGrom, and obviously DeGrom's a little bit different, right? But it's just like the nice thing is that he was missing time because he was putting off Tommy John, and that was it. If it was a slew of other things that put that tax on the body physically, then I'd be more concerned about him as more of a long-term option. But similar to DeGrom in that sense, where it's just like we're postponing something that like probably has to happen, and we're gonna postpone.
Well, last year was a hamstring problem too. That sideline.
But it was also the elbow tendonitis, right?
Yeah, he had some trouble with that later on too.
Okay.
So,
well, we'll see.
I don't know, but all things said and done, 14-10 for the Cubs is great right now. You hope they keep this momentum up through the end of the month. And I mean, if the question is how do the Cubs come out of April and they are even 500, that's fantastic. You got the rest of the season to play against a division that you seem to stack up pretty well against. So you got to go and take it.
Well, you're rocking a sweet 53% chance to win the division, so you got to feel good about that.
I didn't realize he was as good as he's been. How do you feel about Brad Keller? He's got to be one of the very few Royals Cubs crossover players of our.
Has he earned rights again in the Rudy household?
Yeah. You'd actually
ERA.
Yeah, dude. No, the Cubs bullpen is full of guys that are like, oh, he's still around and he's pumping like 99. I mean, Nate Pearson hasn't even been doing well. They sent him down, but it's like him, Brad Keller, like, yeah, it's been interesting. So I don't know. I mean, the biggest warning sign is, I mean, I still think Porter Hodge can be that guy. And Ryan Presley has definitely looked better recently, but at the moment, it's not looking super clear cut that the Cubs have like a shutdown reliever that tends to be pretty important later.
If only there was a guy that has played for your team in the past, just sitting on the market that is waiting exclusively to have a firm closing job. If only he was coming off like a career year. If only that guy was like a one phone call away in all likelihood to solve that immediately. I don't know how that dude doesn't have a job. David Robertson.
I was very confused at who you were getting.
David Robertson.
I was like
unemployed.
I didn't follow this that closely, but I was like, "There's no way he's talking about Craig Kimbrell." Right
That's
now.
what.
There's just no way.
Not come off a career year last year. Yeah.
No, David Robertson is who I'm referring to.
He's always 40s. Like I don't have anything to like. I'm not dying to come back and pitch if I don't love the opportunity.
Which is why I think the Cubs makes the most sense because I think it's, hey, I just had a career year. I want to get paid like it, and I don't want to sign somewhere to be the 7th inning guy on an 84-win team. I want to be the closer on a team that I think can, at the very least, like is probably making the playoffs. And to me, it's just the Cubs are just that team where you've got a bullpen of, like you said, Rudy. Oh, that guy's still around, and you're figuring out what's going to work. And then once that gets settled, If Presley can't prove it, I'd rather sign him than trade and give up assets.
Yeah.
So that to me feels like it's either that or you're praying the D-backs like collapse and like they're taking calls on AJ Puck.
Yeah.
Like that's the other name that I can
who knows? Maybe there's Daniel Lynch, a couple guys on the Royals might be come available.
You never know.
There's I feel like there's always guys that come up in the closer market.
John, speaking of
teams that like to have a bunch of they're still around guys in the bullpen, let's talk about the Red Sox.
Yeah. Holy shit, dude.
How are you feeling so far about the year? I've seen them play once in person.
Nice.
I watched Kevin Gossman turn back the clock. Good ball game.
I forgot. Yeah. I forgot you were at that game. Yeah,
it was maybe the only good start of the season for Tanner Houck. Is that correct as well?
So yeah, his last start was a lot better. It was the White Sox, so White Sox tax. I mean, it was much better than the start in between the Gossman start and the White Sox start, where you have 11 earned runs, 12 earned runs, whatever.
That was tough. Yeah.
That was tough. Did that game end 1-0? Am I remembering the right game?
It was 2-1. So it was 1-1 like the whole game, and then it was like the classic ghost runner should be on first base, strikes again, because it was just like Red Sox bullpen got like 2 outs in the top of the 11th, but it scored a run. And then, just it's that classic reliever comes in and does his job, and therefore you lose.
Yeah.
That classic thing that should happen.
Yeah, I'm an extra innings rule hater. That's a whole other conversation. But it's the vibes are okay. I mean, Bayo's making a season debut right now, and it's going horrendously. So if you've seen me shaking my head the last 10 minutes, that's probably why.
John's just been silently disagreeing with our.
Yeah, it's probably what it seems like.
All the time.
Oh,
Chris Bubich, unsustainable, dude.
Yeah, just shaking my head at Brad Keller talk.
That was probably Rudy for the last 5 years, to be honest.
Yeah, that was me.
Rudy was probably
last year. He's terrible. But overall, no, I think the vibes are a little underwhelming, but still decent. I want to say 13-11 right now.
That is correct.
Yeah.
The division being as underwhelming as a whole as it's been is definitely, some solace. I think we kind of talked about it a little bit before the season started with the Orioles maybe not being poised for a huge season.
Oh boy!
It's
I have thoughts.
We'll get there.
Even the offense is a disaster. And I saw someone tweeted their big three, whatever it was, Henderson, Rutschman, and Westberg's combined stats, and it's like a 600 OPS right now. It's a disaster. I think the division not being great either is bumped the vibes up a little bit. Like if we were 13-11 and already 6 games back, I think it would be meltdown. Mm-hmm. I think with how some of the pieces from last year, a la Casas, Duran, and Houck not really being off to great starts, I think as bad as that has looked and it's not great, I think it would be complete meltdown scenario if the Red Sox were, like I said, really falling behind, be it the Yankees, whoever. So I think the other teams in the division being as weak as they have, relatively speaking, has helped the vibes a lot, but I'm not having a lot of fun. Other than the White Sox, we played the White Sox twice and we're only 4-3, which is insane. Like I think 60% of the White Sox's wins this season have been against us, which isn't my favorite, but I still feel pretty decent about this team having a chance to compete heading into August, September.
Yeah, I think. Have you watched the Netflix documentary as well, John?
So I'm halfway through. I'm 5 episodes through, 5 of the 8 through. I made the grave mistake of telling my girlfriend I'd watch it with her. So now I have to wait I can't just binge it. I have to wait for her to watch it. So I haven't been able to just rip through it like I have wanted to, but it's cool. It's cool.
I feel weird in the same way that I'm a big racing fan and like with Drive to Survive. I don't know if you would feel the same way, John. I struggle with it's hard to feel dramatic while watching it because you're sitting there and they're like, it was a pivotal series in August.
You're 81 and 81. I know this movie ends.
Right. You're like, yeah, I remember that pivotal series in August. We dropped 3 or 4, so I kind of don't want to fucking hear about it.
Exactly. Well, someone made a good point. They're like, if you want to enjoy this documentary, you have to try to enjoy the players and their backstory part of it, as opposed to the actual wins and losses. The wins and losses, like they show, I think the 3rd or 4th episode, they show the walk-off against the Jays, and it's just like it was awesome. I remember in the moment being so fired up, but knowing how what we know now, I couldn't care less. But then hearing the backstories on the Bayos, the Casas, Durans, like that stuff, I think that makes it well worth the watch. Obviously, that's a whole other thing, the actual documentary itself. But I can't get fired up about a team that I know goes 81-81 and
Right.
fizzles out in August and September.
Like I almost wish it was. I almost wish it. And it's tough because it wouldn't be a documentary. I'd almost rather just like have something that an episode drops like once a month that like recaps what they just went
100%.
through. That's more interesting to get the behind the scenes of like when it's still fresh because I feel like
too. Yeah,
it's a little bit more. I don't know. It moves me a little bit more.
Well, I know, and even seeing like as cool as the Cam Boozer stuff is, the reliever who went through all the off the field stuff and worked his way back. Like as cool as that is, he's not even on the team anymore. Like we traded him. So, like, I love it. It's a great story, and obviously it makes for really good content as far as the documentary goes. But I'm like, I will root for this guy, but it's not the same knowing that he's not on the team now. And there's certain other guys in the documentary, like there's clips of Pavetta, and there's certain players here and there that just aren't on the team. And it's just, I don't know, it doesn't really hit the same knowing that they're not on the team anymore, but it's cool.
We can stick in the AL East. Drew, how are you feeling about the Yankees?
Some things are awesome. Other things are not quite so awesome.
That sums it up.
I mean, I don't know if we're doing our being proud of takes yet, but Ben Rice has been.
No, we're not. We're at point one, man.
This guy is ready to go on his Ben Rice.
I mean,
by the way,
I
on the IL, you can't victory lap if
he
he's hurt.
hit a leadoff home run today.
Oh.
Isn't he hurt?
He didn't go on the IL. He got hit on the elbow, missed 2 games, and then hit a leadoff home run in his first game back today. On the first pitch of the game.
He's no Paul Goldschmidt, buddy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, only has a 1.073 OPS right now, or something like that.
Dude, don't care, man. Goldie's 456 BABIP is super.
Yeah, he's been kind of nutty. Like he's been just Paul Arise Goldschmidt.
Dude, seriously, man, it's crazy, man. It's bizarre to see him. Just like I check the line. It's like 3 for 4 with 3 singles. Like, who are you? Dude?
And 2 runs scored.
Like Ben Revere in his later stages of his career.
And 0 RBIs and 2 runs scored from the cleanup spot.
Yeah, which I don't even understand how that's happening either.
Jesus Christ, dude. He needs to give Jazz some of his BABIP. Jazz is a 143 BABIP.
Yeah, Jazz has gotten supremely unlucky, but also he's striking out a ton.
Yeah, like Rudy, Goldie's riding a hot BABIP, but also like the K rate is way down. Like I think he's just like, I'm hitting line drives now. Like it's just like, and it's working. Except for the one pitch.
He's like the ultimate
that was a concrete mixer.
He's at like 98% hard hit, like 98th percentile in hard hit rate. And his hard hits aren't hit that hard. It's just he's hitting the ball like 93 miles an hour off the bat every single at bat.
It's crazy.
And they're just like slightly over the infield, just like dunking in for singles every single time, and it's so crazy to watch.
Anthony Volpe wishes he could do that, dude.
Anthony Volpe had a pretty good plate appearance for his first at bat today.
He's been fine this year, right? Like it's not.
He's at like a 730 OPS. He's fine. Like and like at his current pace, he'd be like a 4.5 WAR player, which I don't think he will be because I think his hitting is going to drop off a little bit. But I think he's a very solid player for what he is.
Yeah, I think he was on the wrong end of some unfortunate PR that we can't repeat because TikTok will take the video down.
Red Sox trolls online have been slandering his name for years.
I got. Should I look this up or no?
Yes, look it up.
Be careful with your words and how you Google
Do
it.
not put a space.
Or a dash, or a colon.
It was like the torpedo bats. Volpe mixed the two.
Yeah.
You come up with the worst nickname maybe in the history of nicknames.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a commune in Italy.
Oh yeah.
That's where Rudy. That's where they send them. Actually, yeah. They get deported to.
Yikes.
Will Warren also threw 3 scoreless tonight, which is good for my narratives.
What time did the game start? How was this already happening?
It was a 6:10 start.
Oh, 6:10. Talking about 3 innings and Volpe and everyone. I'm like, dude, this game started at 4 p.m. local time.
I forget that. Well, Rudy will once again be rejoining the best coast, aka Central Time Zone soon.
The not coast, the neither coast.
Yeah, notable coast, the middle of the continent.
Respect the Great Lakes, buddy.
Midwest Coast, baby.
You know it. You know all respect the Great Lakes.
Yeah,
We've been around the block with this argument.
I know we have. Well, we can get Christian on here and we can debate if lakes have beaches.
Dude, like that argument
Basically
happens
my
like
Yankee.
once every 6 months now, still, and it gets me fired up to my core.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's one of the funniest. It's the most like this is what like that TikTok trend where it's like this is what life is all about. It's that argument. It's just that dumb fucking argument you have with your friends that just no matter
Just guys
what.
being dudes talking.
I
about
might change
lakes
my
that have
opinion in
beaches.
5 years. No one will ever know.
It's true.
I'm keeping it to myself because I've dug my heels in.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean,
The Yankee takes come down to everything is good other than the fact that we had Marcus Stroman and Carlos Carrasco starting games. Like everything else is pretty fine.
In the gigantic.
Like those two are not major league starters. They can't be.
They might not be major league pitchers, just period.
they might not
the
be. They might not
rotation.
be pitchers.
I was shocked to see Carrasco
Marcus
run out there.
Stroman, I'm a starter.
Yeah.
Marcus Stroman. I want my vesting option to kick in. Stroman. That was yeah.
Marcus Phantom IL till the end of the year, Stroman.
Speaking of unholy, we can move on to my ball club to round out this first talking point. Watching the Cardinals this year has been fine. I'll be entirely honest with you. 10-14 or 9-14, whatever it is, not wonderful. I think the biggest takeaway so far, everyone is doing their job on the offense, which is great. Brant Brown looks like Christ reincarnated, like build the statue, get him the red jacket. Like that's how I feel about him so
As
far.
the hitting coach, I can't say familiar with Brant Brown. Okay.
He was the hitting coach unceremoniously fired from the Mariners. And we hired him, and I was like, what in God's name are we doing? And we proceeded to rattle off like 15 straight games where it was like, oh yeah, we only had 11 hits. And it was like, what's happening? Like this, I don't know what it is, but he's just the right guy for our offense. And
I mean, Brent Donovan's been awesome.
Oh my God.
One of the best players in
Not
the
a-
National League.
Not a real player.
more hits than Aaron Judge.
Is not a baseball player that exists.
More hits than Aaron Judge.
I believe Trevor Story does too.
Well, it's almost they're better players, John. That's the only stat you need to look
You
at.
might be onto something.
It's called hitting, not watching. I don't know
That's
what to tell you.
That's true. Window shopper.
Jacob Wilson supports this message.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Jacob Wilson, the guy who
Meet
hasn't
low-leverage
seen a
man,
3-ball
Aaron
count.
Judge, dude.
Zero.
Brendan Donovan does not have more hits than Aaron Judge, by the way.
He did up until maybe yesterday. He took a day off.
Okay.
His rib got displaced, but he's going to be back in the lineup tomorrow.
Carson,
Don't even know how
Paul
this
Goldschmidt just worked a 10-pitch walk. Just for
I mean, dude.
your narrative's sake.
I mean, better, the more deserving MVP. on the
Nobody
team.
has more hits than Aaron Judge. Actually, he is the most.
Yeah, he is leading the league, actually.
Aaron Judge is hitting 400.
But Donovan was close.
He is second. Donovan and Goldschmidt
Yeah.
actually are tied for second.
But yeah,
That's
I mean,
hilarious.
Contreras was like brutal to start the year, but honestly, like Nato looks a lot better. Jordan Walker no longer looks like an infant deer in the outfield. Like I alluded to it earlier, he's +2 DRS and +2 OAA. Like when he now goes through stretches where he just waves goodbye at a slider in the other batter's box, I don't think it will be as demoralizing for his season because he goes out to the outfield and can find success. That part's great.
Walker and Jaron Duran swapped defensive talents this
literally.
offseason.
Want to talk demoralizing for Jordan Walker? That Saturday Night Baseball interview that they just put him through while the balls were flying over his head into the 10th row was tough to watch. Like
I mean,
I'm not a big
John,
fan of
they-
those in-game interviews. I don't like them as a whole, but that I felt bad for the kid. Then they went to commercial, perfect reason to be like, "Hey, have a good rest of your game." They come back and they're like, "Yeah, here's more Jordan Walker." As the Cardinals
Dude, it
that
got to
night.
the point where one of the questions was from a Twitter mutual. He was like, he tweeted, and I quote, "Watch this," and then the next thing he tweeted was, "Ask Sunday Night Baseball who has the most aura on the team." To be clear, the tweet he sent right before was, "Watch this," and then it got on Sunday Night Baseball. That's how bad.
Serious, man. I felt terrible.
Oh, no.
Those in-game interviews with the mic'd up players in Sunday Night Baseball, cool concept, but
I hate
I hate them too.
It's
It is
really
just-
awesome for the All-Star game, and that's it.
For
That's
sure.
the
Yeah.
only
Yeah,
time
I
it
agree.
could ever be done.
it's a tough
yeah.
watch.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, the offense is doing exactly like all the young guys. This whole year was just like them being like, them finally saying enough signing 50-year-olds. We just need to let these children play baseball. and they're doing a decent job. You know, Sonny Gray's doing his job. Eric Fetty's doing his job. Libby in the rotation doesn't look bad. Palante has been, not bad either. It's just the bullpen really punched above its weight last year and is really punching under its weight right now, and that's the difference. There's been 3 or 4 games that the bullpen has just leaked away, and I don't think it's bad management. It's just they'll regress.
Mosley hasn't been himself yet.
They'll regress back to the mean. Like that's why I'm not worried about it. Pretty sure our run differential is like 0. So
-1. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like the games are close, and that's -1 with us getting curb stomped on Sunday Night Baseball.
Oh yeah, by the Red Sox. I remember that game.
That's with a real.
What was it, like 16-3 or something?
It ended up like 16-7. They did kind of come back a little bit.
Forget.
Oh yeah, I forgot. They scored like 3 or 4 in the night.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, so like I said, it's just the bullpen is just like it's been weirdly bad. The starting pitching, inconsistent to start the year, but kind of rounding itself out. Miles Michaelis to the gulag aside, like everyone else has been what they're like. Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty, Palante, Libby, like they've all been what I expect them to be. It just you're waiting on Quinn Matthews, you're waiting on Tink Hence, and that's just kind of what it is. So we're gonna hit our way into some games. And
is McGreevy pitching in the major leagues right now?
No, he is not. He will be when they go to the 6-man ? But they said they were going to start the 6-man on April 16th with Mats, and then he made 1 start, was really good, and then back to the bullpen he is. So I don't know, but I'm fine. I'm fine jerking around 34-year-old Steven Matz as opposed to.
Pause on that.
Hey,
Jesus.
Hey, ask good friend of the program, the Garrative. All right, he was on. He was getting interviewed in the Mets series, talking about like a random AMC like American history series. That like I think Steven Matz, Garrett, and I were the only people that watched. But like, he like at me on Twitter. Is like, is he talking about Turn right now? I was like, you bet, buddy. Fire me up. But yeah, I'm just glad that they're putting the overpaid, terrible veterans through hell and not the young guys. And that's all I have to say.
So
82 and 80 will be inbound. It's just, it will happen. It's they'll get my hopes up. They'll hang around and then we'll do nothing.
That feels like a assessment.
Yeah.
Well, John, we were 15 and 25 through 40 games last year and ended up 83 and 79.
That's
so
crazy.
They legitimately
worse at the start than that, but it felt worse as an outsider.
They played 91 win baseball for 5 months last year.
That's crazy.
To miss the playoffs by 2 games. So like, I'm excited for that again.
Not bad.
And end with a negative run differential.
Yeah. The difference between last year was like -60 or something nuts.
Yeah.
I think this year the record's going to be the same, but the run differential will be like 0.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you take out your bullpen luck, you add in a little bit of positive regression everywhere else.
Yeah, which I think, I think that's a fair assessment given the fact that, like Ivan Herrera, cool. Dude looks like a stud.
Did he get hurt? Is he okay?
He'll be back in a couple weeks.
Okay.
But
I didn't pay attention.
It's okay. Pedro Pajes has like a 140 WRC plus in his place. And the other rando we called up is also OPSing like 1,000. Our catching hitting is nutty. It's wild.
Well, while we're on the topic of the Cardinals, I have to read this quote that I sent as well in our Discord this morning. I think it's so funny in multiple ways because it's MLB.com put out an article talking about how catching is kind of an underrated position as far as building your team around.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that's kind of indisputable. It's a pretty critical position. Catchers don't often hit the open market. They tend to get locked down by teams, both because there's not a lot of longevity at that position and because if you have a really good catcher on both sides of the ball, you want to keep him. So they're interviewing a few baseball execs, baseball ops execs for this piece. One of them is Jed Hoyer, and he says this: I think if you have a catcher that can hit and play defense, that's gold because you're so far ahead of everyone else roster building wise. Everyone else is running out a guy hitting 8th or 9th. If you have Will Smith, William Contreras, Wilson Contreras when he was with us, Adley Rutschman, that offense-defense catcher is a big deal. he really tried to sneak in Wilson Contreras in there, and I think this is hilarious for two reasons. One, because Wilson Contreras was really never that guy on both sides of the ball. He was a good offensive catcher at times. He was never like great defensively. And two, because you're taking such a clear like passive-aggressive shot at Wilson Contreras, the Cardinal, when you say Wilson Contreras when he was
right. Which is what's also really funny about that is that as a Cardinal, Contreras in 2 full seasons, his WRC plus is 127 and 140, which is first and third for his career. So I know he's not a catcher anymore, but the 2 seasons he did catch, it's still a good hitter.
And it's also funny that the first name he mentions is Will Smith, who is a horrible defender.
Who is
he doesn't mention Cal Raleigh, who is probably the best catcher in baseball.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that is a very funny. Rudy, that was definitely a Freudian slip. He didn't mean to like. He wanted to nice the guy, and then was like, "Wait a minute."
It's so hard as well. Like, not so hard, but it is also like Wilson Contreras' his brother is at this point one of the top 3 two-way catchers in baseball. At least last year he was. So, when you mention William Contreras and then you're trying to name other guys, Wilson's right there. So I kind of understand it, but also pretty funny. Pretty quote there.
Yeah, that is. That makes me smile a little bit. All right, let's. John, I know we have you for a little bit more, so why don't we?
I can carve another 10 or 15, and then
let's do. Let's skip to number 3 because this one will be a little bit more fun. And I literally came up with this segment idea on the fly, which is how do you like your steak? So we are going to be talking about some teams that have slow. We're going to talk about some teams how their season's going so far. And if they're not where they need to be yet, but we're still confident, maybe rare. Still a nice cut of meat. We're working some things out, but we'll get there. Maybe you think they're right where they need to be. Nice medium rare, medium for some people. I guess I'm speaking for the entire website talking about how to prepare your steak, but
There's a right answer for sure.
If they're cooked, it's well done. It's over. It's charred. It's donezo.
I like that.
And we've alluded to them a little bit. I want to talk about the Orioles to start.
This will be coming up later because
it feels medium well in Baltimore for my taste.
What I would have said.
If I were to make a little Peyton, let's see if we can do this. Maybe a little.
I'd say with their current roster, it's well done. I'd say their current roster is well done.
You think it's over?
I think they're not going to get better unless they make changes. I think unless they get a pitcher.
That would be more raw because they have more work to do.
Well, yeah, but that's
Carson. I'm a little unclear on the rating scale here.
This is the first time we've ever done this. I'm coming up with it on
Learning
the fly. We're workshopping.
I'm thinking like blue rare, medium, well done.
Yeah. But how does it mean? Like, how can you like if you're in the right spot, then you're like medium rare.
Yeah.
But if your season is over. If your season is over, you're cooked, and if you need to make changes, you're rare or like raw. So that's like a U-shaped curve, right? Like you can,
in theory, because you can put a steak back on the grill if they got work to do. Like the Orioles, in theory,
I guess. Yeah. So they're either
they're
either like just out of the freezer.
I've seen the vision a little bit. Yeah.
All right. I get it. It just came up with the idea. I thought we. Try it.
I think it's a good idea. It's just this specific example is hard.
It feels better than like hot seat meter. And like out of 10, how would you rate how worried you should be? Like everyone does that. I thought it'd be a nice
give them a steak rating.
A little steak. How is it? The Orioles need to make changes though. They need some seasoning. I can tell you that because their pitching is so bland and so bad, man. They need some seasoning.
I sent that. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit cherry picking to look at the guys who happened to pitch in a 24-2 blowout. But I sent a screenshot of this.
Yeah, that was crazy.
They and 2 of them are position players, right? So this is the only time they pitched. They each gave up like 5 runs, but still, 5 guys pitched for the Orioles in that 24-2 blowout against the Reds. They all have double-digit ERAs, and this includes Charlie Morton, Cody Poteet, one other reliever. Like there are 3 real pitchers in there who are rocking double-digit ERAs, and one of those guys is supposed to be your Corbin Burns replacement.
Yeah. One of the funny things from that game.
Well done. It's over.
Yeah.
One of the funny things from that game Gary Sanchez has very similar stuff plus numbers to Marcus Stroman. Like very similar.
Hey, what? Hold on. Oh, actually, you know what? All right, editor.
Gary Sanchez was throwing like 85-mile-an-hour fastballs, and he had like 82 stuff plus.
Dude, Joey Gallo's
my
in shambles, man. Joey Gallo's in shambles here, and Gary Sanchez is pumping it like that, dude. Put the TJ
Literally.
stats graphic up for me. Let me see that. I need to see that side by
It's
side.
like scarily similar.
That's crazy.
It's like look it up. It's so funny.
Yeah, so that's all to say that, like, I don't know, in the year of our Lord 2025, Cedric Mullins can't still be your top production position player as the Baltimore Orioles. It's great that he's still kicking. He's doing better this year than he has the last couple.
Still kicking's kind of crazy. He's like 31.
Not like still. He's 30, but like. Sorry, still kicking was the wrong word. But, like, it's great to see him producing because it seemed like over the last couple of years it wasn't quite there in the way that it was in, 2022
I'm about to be on the back half of my 20s, man. You can't be calling 30-year-old Mullins.
Yeah, my bad. My bad on
Good to see
that.
that Mullins.
Hand up.
This is well done.
Yeah,
Hand up. No,
Good to see that
Mullins.
old-timer trotting it out still. Oh,
Mullins
boy.
is medium, and that's the problem. He can't be your guy. You have so many other guys that are supposed to be, and like you were saying, Carson,
Well,
you're
the Cavs are
three like central.
A really big loss.
I didn't even realize that happened. Yeah, that's big for them.
He's been out since the beginning of spring training, and he's out for still a little while, I think.
Well, it's also just the Grayson Rodriguez, Tommy John has to be coming down the pipeline. Like, and it just it is oftentimes fans will complain about prospect hugging during rebuilds, and it's like, all right, like I get that you want to win, and I get, but like it is sometimes you gotta let it marinate. You gotta let it a little bit.
Trust the process.
At this point, no, we gotta stop hugging. These are grown adults. They're my age.
Yeah.
Like these prospects, it's like, is Kerstad finally going to get playing time? I'm like, I remember when that guy won the Golden Spikes at Arkansas. Like, I remember that. Yeah. I was in college at the same time that dude was like, we got to go. We got to start it up. And I just
and Mayo has already passed his peak of value on the trade market, and it's decreasing as we speak because he's getting railed in AAA so far.
He also gave the most like polite "please trade me" I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah.
That like
I cannot believe they didn't trade him this offseason.
Yeah, it definitely. Oh, man,
they have like the biggest collection of guys that feel younger than they are, which kind of is like to piggyback on that point. Like Adley's 27, like Westberg's 26, Kowser's 26, Kierstad's 26. Like, sure, Gunner's 24. Obviously, Jackson Holliday is, still in high school.
Well, because Holliday and Gunner were high school prospects. The rest of them are college guys who played 3 years in college and then came up when they were 23, 24.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
The window's
Holiday brothers
closing.
Are there? Isn't there 3? There's the guys going to get drafted
go
this
1-1. Ethan's going to go close to it.
There's Jackson and then Ethan, and I think there might be another one.
There isn't like a Chadwick. There's got to be like a third one with a dumb name. Also, this is Shane, by the way. He's a White Sox fan. Shane, you just missed the first section where we did the temp check. Can you give us 30 seconds on how you feel about the White Sox so far?
Yeah, I think that's an easy one. Terrible, but maybe not historically terrible yet. Yeah. So we'll see.
I feel like they kind of overexceeded expectations so far, relatively speaking. Like, they're not as bad as...
They're beating up on your Red Sox.
I know. They're 3-4. Like, 3 of their 5 wins are against the Red Sox this year.
All I have to say is I might have to start going to more games because the one game I went to, they walked off. So they made the mistake of pitching to Brooks Baldwin. They'll learn. Which is one of the craziest hot takes I've given, is that I said that guy was going to have 3 F-word this year as like a fun hot take. He sucks so bad, dude. That's not happening.
Are you referring to the one when he walked off Chapman?
Wait, who did you say that for? Sorry, was it Brooks Baldwin?
Yeah, my Brooks Baldwin 3 F-word take. That's for sure not happening.
Brooks. He's got 1 walk this year. That's electric.
Hashtag say no to walks.
Dude, there are some guys this year that it is.
Jacob Wilson hasn't even seen a 3-ball count yet.
That's absurd.
Like literally has not seen a 3-ball count.
That's crazy.
He plays
how
the show. That's how he's playing baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand.
He only has the circle button on his PS4.
Doesn't he have like horrid bat speed as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
He's white
moisturized. I mean, this feels like a
better at defense.
This feels like a Nick Madrigal scenario where it's like, yeah, you've got kind of a unicorn hit tool, and obviously I can't like break down why it's worked for him versus why it's worked for Madrigal. I feel like I saw an article with Madrigal of how he like somehow hit a lot of like bloopers or flares that fell in for hits. I like my instinct with Jacob Wilson, not really knowing much about his game, is that it feels like a Madrigal thing where it's like, yeah, you have this kind of unicorn hit tool and it works for you, but like, are you really going to stick around with that?
Dude, while we're talking about the A's, we can talk about the second point we're getting to of small sample size theater. I mean, I hope that this doesn't continue, but it is just absolute monkey ball for every home game they play. Like it is. Yeah, it is some of the most blasphemous shit I've ever seen in my life.
Even the Rays too. Like it's awful.
Minor league ballparks are not suitable for major league baseball.
Was it what, like Aaron Judge hit a foul ball and Cody Bellinger said like that's the farthest hit ball I've ever seen in my life, and it went like 385.
Dude, I mean, hey, shout out Cody Bellinger for hyping up your boy like that, you know.
That was
bro,
insane,
you crushed
by
that.
the way. That call was so insane.
Oh, I saw like one vague clip of it.
It was fair by like 10 feet, and they called it foul on the field, and then they reviewed it and kept it foul.
Did it go so high it couldn't hit the foul pole? Is that what happened?
Well, it's because it's a minor league park. They don't have the high foul pole.
Are you serious?
The foul pole's like 10 feet tall.
Are you?
So like
that's actually kind of infuriating. That's actually infuriating that they can't fix that to play games in a minor league stadium. I know with the Rays this happened on shorter notice, but how hard is it to get a taller pole in there?
Feels like a one-day task. Like that doesn't feel like much.
Just go to a Vegas for like club, sell it as a sponsor.
I was gonna say who is making the joke right now? Who's cooking it up?
Polecats in Vegas surely has the sponsorship money to get a little something there, dude. That's absurd. To learn. I had no idea. But it has to stop. I mean, and I've seen stuff where they've talked about like, oh, are they really going to play it out for like 3-4 years in the minor league park? I'm like, where are they going to go?
Yeah,
like,
there's nowhere else.
Welcome back to Oakland.
But the mayor openly was just like, yeah, like good luck, dude. I hope you enjoy that shit. Like, I hope you do. And did you guys see what the press situation was like? Insert photo.
Yeah, it was like in a trailer, right?
Yes, dude. It's like a temporary, the shit that you would put up at like a soccer tournament.
Yeah, man.
At a U12 soccer tournament, and they're asking
in there, like,
and it's just such an unprofessional ass. Like, so much of that is gone horrible, and it just they should be fun to watch, and they're not. I can't watch them play. Like, I don't want to. When I have MLB TV on, it's like there's a late game, and I'm gonna go to bed soon. Like, yeah, maybe. Like, but that's where you're watching. That's like watching a car crash. You know, that's a little bit more like I feel dirty that I like. You know.
So I've been eager to see the park factors for the A's park in Sacramento. Right. It's actually second highest park factor in the league to Camden Yards, which I can only assume means they don't account for the pitchers who are in the park when they're adjusting for park factor.
Yeah, it's literally just because every game somebody's scoring 20 runs in Baltimore.
Well, I was going to say, especially with that 24-2 game, that has to just inflate park factor like crazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's nasty. That's small sample theater, dude. That is I don't know. So. It's shameful, but also because like the we should not be sitting here as baseball fans being like, you know, it's a real blessing in disguise that Tampa and Oakland aren't trying this year. Because, you know, can you imagine if they were on TV in the playoffs? And it just sucks to hear that. I can't imagine rooting for a team like that, where you just have to hear people being like, you know, thank God they're not making the playoffs. It looked like shit on TV. Like, that would be so demoralizing to hear. And, like, you know, I don't know. I just also feel bad for the people of Sacramento. Like they're just are catching so many strays.
There's like no winners in this scenario. It's such a shit show. Oakland lost, Sacramento lost, the team's losing, the fans trying to watch on TV are losing. Like it's just a disaster all around. And like you said, like where is the end of this solution? Like what's the solution to this before they go to bed?
I'm still in awe of the fact that any pitcher would sign. Like I know they gave Severino a lot of money, but like, how the hell are you going to play in the major leagues if your ERA is inflated by 3 points pitching in this park?
I don't know how it's. If you have a wife and kids, how are you signing as a free agent there? Hey, where are we playing our games next year? I don't know. Like, nope. Like,
especially more than like a 1-year deal. It's like that's just some unheard of like lack of clarity in sports. It's just not a thing.
It's not even like Tampa where it's like, we're in the same metropolitan area. It's like the games are 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like your wife and kids are moving. I mean, the Rays don't spend money, but like, at least for Tampa, it's like, your taxes you have to fill out a different address of where you go to work every day. Like,
and as far as the field location, it's actually better. Like in Tampa, they're playing in Tampa. They're not out on the peninsula where nobody wants to go to a game.
Out to the old age home in St. Pete.
Like,
if they had like a major league seating setup and the major league foul poles, I legit think GMS would be a better like place to play baseball than the
What is the best spring training facility too? As far as I know, everyone always says the Yankees spring training facility is like
I've been there. It's awesome.
John, look at the cap on your head and come on, have some self-respect.
Unbiased baseball fan here. Unbiased baseball fan.
The only thing, like the Red Sox spring training field looks so odd because they have just like the green monster is just like a piece of cardboard that is thrown up there.
It's crazy. I've always heard that the wall at JetBlue is just so Mickey Mouse compared to obviously the actual wall.
It just looks so odd. It's like that should not be real.
Too. Every minor league, well, not every, but a good bit of the minor league teams at least used to have a green monster in them, so you could obviously prep for that. But
that's crazy.
It is really funny that I do find it really funny that with minor league stadiums, AA down, you love when it's weird and shitty. You enjoy when it has all these quirks, and then the moment it's like for AAA, when it's like time for prospects to actually get like legitimate development and seasoning, you're like, why is it not the exact dimensions? Like, who allowed this fucking bullshit? Like, you go on this massive tirade, but then at low A, where it's like a good example, High A in Davenport, Iowa, there's an amusement park in left field and a river and a river in right field, and everyone's just like, it's sick.
That's
like,
sweet. But you get higher. Like I went to Polar Park last year in Worcester, where the Red Sox AAA team is.
Yeah.
And there's train tracks there, and it's like that you couldn't hear the PA announcer because the train's going by. I'm like, dude, this is hilarious if this is A-ball, but I'm like, I'm watching 3 of the top 20 prospects in baseball, and I can't even hear the PA announcer say their names because there's just Thomas the Tank Engines delivering some calls. Like, it was actually infuriating. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
that'd be even worse if it was Thomas the Tank Engine. They'd be talking as well.
Oh my god! Seriously, holy shit.
Yeah, so on the subject of the sort of like minor league spring training stadiums, I do think that it's really neat this year that we sort of have a controlled experiment for the impact of weather on offensive environments, in the sense of we've never seen basically cookie cutter identical stadiums the way that we have Yankee Stadium and George M. Steinbrenner Field as far as dimensions. So what's going to be different between those is only the warm weather in Tampa and the cold weather in New York relative to one another. Obviously, it heats up in New York, but then basically you can look at any difference in park factors between those stadiums, and that's just how much does warm weather heat up the bats, which I think is pretty neat. Yeah. Like that'll be fun to look back on.
I think a good extension of that too is, which I'm really interested in, is the idea of like previously it used to be only Coors had the humidor, and then I got added in Arizona as well, and then it ended up being like, okay, we're just going to do this for all of them everywhere. The thing I want to wrap up your point, Rudy, with as well is I think it's also going to be a good exercise in how valuable is actually mass implementation of something like a humidor. Because in theory, they're just doing it to level the playing field for everyone. But if we're going to have this direct means of comparison, we're going to be able to see how it legitimately impacts on that one-to-one skill dependent on the weather. So I'm kind of excited to – maybe that might be an unintended benefit. Climate change, guys. Unintended benefit. My favorite sport, a hurricane hits one team's stadium, and then we get more data to chew on.
Hey, man. I'm a scientist. This is what I do. I look at extreme circumstances and find an opportunity to learn something.
I'm a scientist, and it's me paying for Fangraphs Premium so I can look at more graphs and charts.
You know what's insane?
Noted fan of graphs, Carson Linder.
That might is that Rudy? We haven't done it this week in baseball in a while. That'd be a prime, not sponsored but willing to be right there. Graphs.
Yep. I don't think they have the money to be throwing around sponsorship deals over there. I think that's kind of why they
no, probably not. They could give us Fangraphs Premium. I'd do it for that. That's how little money I'd take for
I support. I should get on that. I do indeed support Fangraphs. Anyway.
Well, so we have someone on the call, and Shane, I will give you time to defend yourself. Shane is Mr. Subscription Service. If there is something that exists to pay for monthly, Shane has it. It's legitimately like a Rolodex of just like, yeah, I have that. Like there is no scenario where Shane and you would say, you got me to get Fangraphs.
I'm not even going to deny it.
Yeah,
I've got a Fangraphs subscription. I got Baseball America. I have Baseball Prospectus. I got kind of everything at this point.
Nice.
Again, worth noting, I believe you're the first person in our friend circle that got Prospectus, but we all share a login for Baseball America and MLB TV, and he still was like,
I also have MLB TV. Forgot about that too.
Like the meme where it's the meme where it's like
income really comes for you.
the meme where it's like, I'm God's strongest soldier. Please make it harder on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need more.
Okay.
Rudy, the Braves.
Just like Jesus Christ.
So sorry. Before we get to the Braves, rounding out the Orioles, I want everyone's like blue rare to well done.
Yes.
Specifically on Jackson Holliday. And yeah, so I asked this question. The answer for Holliday is going to be nothing short of like rare. Like he's going to be.
The cow might still be mooing.
Yeah,
the cow might still be mooing. But like, where are we at? What's the temperature check? Because he hasn't exactly hit the ground running in the majors, but he's been hitting the ball harder. He's still. I mean, like he hit well in AAA last year. Like, you know,
I almost find him akin to like when a college football player is a true freshman versus when they're like 22. Like, look at his dad from a genetic standpoint. Mm-hmm. His dad has absolute tree trunks for arms. And so I just think when you look at Holliday, it's like, oh, he looks so young. He's so skinny. And I'm like, yeah, it's because he's so young. I'm like, what does he look like at 20? Very rarely in baseball do we talk about growing into your body as a prospect. That's a big thing in a lot of other sports except baseball, really. But I think that this is a rare instance where that's what it is. I want to see him when he has more muscle on.
Yeah.
Like, that's really where I'm at with it. Like, I believe in the talent. And I don't know, like that's ultimately where I sit with it. So the cow is still mooing, but I think what it is that the beef is lean. It's a lean cut, and I need to see it, I need to see it's got to get a little bigger for me.
But he's also, he's just like right now.
He's 21, yeah.
Even if you're holding your own, he's also playing second base too, where like hypothetically he would be a shortstop. So like he's already in some like weird spot on top of being on a competitive team where it's like if things start going bad, there's a lot of pressure. It's not like even like Caminero over in Tampa where it's like who cares if he has a bad stretch, or like other players, or what was it? Jacob Wilson got brought up earlier. It's like he doesn't walk and he's not going to do anything. It's like who cares who's coming to replace him? Like Max Muncy's already on the roster, and he doesn't look great either. So
The issue for Holliday is just like he's so young that you don't want to give up on him, but he's way too good for minor league baseball, and he's not good enough for Major League Baseball. So it's just like you're in such a tough spot where like you don't want to send him down because he's going to hit well in AAA, and there's nothing that he can like learn there really.
Yeah,
unless it's something mechanical that's throwing him off right now, but I doubt that because they probably would have noticed it by now. So unless like you don't want to send him down, but he's hurting your everyday chance of winning right now because he's just hitting the ball really poorly in the major leagues, and yet he's 21, so like you can't give up on him, and he was the number one prospect in baseball a year ago. Like it's just a really kind of perplexing situation for him and for the Orioles, because obviously the Orioles are kind of in a unique situation where they have so much depth at all of these positions.
Yeah.
Where like if Mayo's crushing the ball in AAA, what do you do? Because Holliday's not hitting at all, and they can just slide Westberg over to second and play Mayo at third. Like it's just a tough situation to be in.
Well, I think the other issue is that, and Rudy, I know you'll love that I'm going to mention this guy's name again on a recording session because I think it's like the third time in a row. Ryan O'Hearn refuses to suck in Baltimore.
Dude,
He's
what
done it
is up with
everywhere
that? So I actually genuinely, I'll one thing on Ryan O'Hearn, and then I'll talk about Jackson Holliday a little bit. I think it's kind of actually an underrated part of Baltimore building a solid team there is that Ryan O'Hearn has kicked on so well. Like it's pretty impressive that what they've gotten out of him. And when you have such a logjam of position players, obviously it's like we wouldn't mind if you happened to not be so good. Like we could give other guys a chance, but I don't know. Maybe he gets shipped off somewhere else. He's kind of like a sneaky quality bat at this point. That I feel
That's what I mean. At a certain point, you just have to make a decision of like, listen, like you take it as a developmental win, but at a certain point, you just have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, what are we going to extend this guy? No, you're not.
Yeah.
And like,
And
while
you
you
have Samuel Basayo rotting in AAA as like the number 5 prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to use the
They
word
could
rot.
also just wait it out.
Or,
Like,
yeah.
the thing. Like they could just
Not
save
rotting
so much
because he's
money.
still super.
But they could
How
save so much
long-
money and just like play the long game where it doesn't matter. Like it's frustrating, but it's not like it's unheard of. Like it's pretty
Shane,
easy
I
to
would
just be the team
agree.
that just never promotes anybody until you have to.
I would
Like-
agree on waiting the long game. Had they not, they got to win a playoff series. Like
Yeah,
there is
yeah.
urgency.
They're gonna win a
I
playoff
think it's a
game.
bad decision, but like they're not going to spend money on pitching. They're not going to spend money on free agents. So it's like if you're not doing either of those, then why rush it?
Dylan
Yeah,
Cease
year
and
of Mayo,
Sandy
year of
Alcantara.
Solo.
Come on down, dude. Just empty the
So,
cabinet.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but he sucks.
To round out the sort of Jackson Holliday discussion, I'm looking at his stats kind of over the years, and I see two over the years. Again, I'm talking about these Orioles guys like they're like really old.
Yeah.
Um,
Shane, earlier he referred to Cedric Mullins with a lot of crusty vet terminology, and I was like, didn't he just turn 30?
he did in fact just turn
Damn.
But this is also a guy who's like speed, defense, center field. Anyway,
True.
disregarding Cedric Mullins, what I look at when I see when I look at Jackson Holliday is two things, which is one, he really his prospect report projects a lot of future power. I mean, we're seeing like 60 future game power and raw power, but those home runs haven't showed up anywhere really in the minor leagues. I mean, 2023 across all levels in the minor leagues, 581 plate appearances, 12 homers. I mean, that's basically a full season's worth of plate appearances. 12 homers is not like a huge power guy. And so like you said, Carson, like given his dad's Matt Holliday, tree trunks for arms, like he probably has some strength and some power to grow into, but that's definitely not a part of his game right now. But the most glaring thing that I see as a disconnect between what he's done in the minors and what he has currently been capable of in the major leagues is his minor league walk rate is hovering in like the high teens to 20%. Major leagues, his walk rate is about 7%. So he needs to learn to walk in the major leagues as well. Like you just can't do without it. When you're that caliber of hitting prospect, walking is a fundamental part of your game, and he hasn't been doing that. So maybe like you were saying, Drew, maybe that's something that just comes with seeing more major league pitching because it's something that he's done well across all levels of the minors. But he needs to walk, and ideally he grows into a little bit more of that power, and suddenly you're looking at a pretty damn good hitter. But those are two things that have not been part of his game yet.
It's funny you bring this up, Rudy, because Shane, I know that you and I have had discussions about. We typically talk about this with pitching prospects, where I'm like, oh yeah, you can look at a guy's walk rate and his strikeout rate in the minors, and you're like, yeah, but you got to remember that like it's worse hitting, and so in theory they're striking out more because and. I think the same is true for hitting, right? You talk about this like 20% walk rate. Obviously, no one can do that in the major league level. God, that visual is so funny. Like no one can do that at the major league level. But I think, yes, part of that is coming with age, but I also think that like you're a different hitter. Like anyone on a major league roster can go, well, not anyone maybe, but like you can put somebody down at the minors, they're going to probably crush it, and they're going to walk a ton, and they're not going to strike out a lot because they're major league players. It's what do you actually look like as a major leaguer? And so, yeah, Rudy, to sort of blend that all together, it's what does he actually look like as a pro?
Yep.
And I think that'll be interesting. To
though,
me, he always seemed like a high average, like 19 home runs a year guy. That's what he, as a prospect, that's what he looked like to me. Speaking of insanely good, Lars Nootbaar 2-run ding dong, by the way.
Okay, I'm glad you were not calling out the Tommy Edman 3-run ding dong that just went down as well.
Oh, awesome! Also in my fantasy lineup, ka-ching, buddy.
I gotta say, on the Jackson Holliday thing though, in defense of just playing him, if he's your 9-hitter and he's 10% below league average and is fine at second base, like, does it actually matter that much if you give him a run for like?
No, I agree with that. Actually,
months?
Yeah, they have to like kind of at the very least let the experiment run its course for like until the end of the year.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about it too is if he does actually just suck, you literally have Kobe Mayo. So maybe that's why they're prospect hugging it a little bit because they're like, you know what, if we give him
some of these guys suck.
Yeah, I mean it's just baseball that not all your prospects are going to hit. So
don't tell the Orioles front office that because they don't believe that. They think they're hitting on everything. So
to round out the Orioles discussion, to put a bow on it, I think there's definitely a chance that Holliday is one of several guys that just clicks as the season goes on. And you say like Drew, you talk about losing Kowser as a big hit, but like they have so many guys that could be really solid to good major league hitters that I think there's a chance that the offensive side of the lineup really just comes together. And that's honestly a pretty good chance. The pitching isn't there. So
yeah, anyone and everyone that's a pending free agent, they should be making phone calls, man.
Yeah.
Rudy, I know you're like,
Contra, right?
Yes,
like that's
I was literally about to say,
like,
Rudy the Cubs fan. Like I'm telling you, it has to be Baltimore.
It does
because they have more bullets than anyone, and
if the Cubs
what are you
can
playing the game for?
The Cubs can match just about any teams as far as prospects to offer at this point.
It would be funny to see Alcantara for Alcantara.
Oh my god, dude! God, Shane on the call for the Kevin Alcantara. Dude.
He's my boy.
Rudy, listen. Obviously, Drew Gray for Sandy Alcantara, straight up. Would be an utter Marlins fleece, obviously. So in that sense, they've got obviously future Hall of Famer in the system. But outside of that, I'm just not really moved by it.
All right.
Shane and I have actually had pretty lengthy conversations because on Owen Casey versus Kevin Alcantara. So.
All right, Braves. Let's talk.
Yeah,
Braves.
let's talk Braves,
and then we'll move on from.
As this. Cardinals might be hanging a crooked number on him here in the top of the third, or not because Nolan Gorman stinks. Anyway, I don't think they're done. In this instance, I would say they're like a medium well steak. It's still edible, but like they gotta it's time.
I think if Acuna was hurt and was healthy and they were this bad, they'd be cooked. But the fact that Acuna is supposed to be coming back at some point kind of gives them a little bit of hope still.
I guess, but like, what is he?
And like Schwellenbach has been absolutely unreal. Like
Strider's coming back.
Strider is coming back. He's hurt again.
He was supposed to pitch tonight and got hamstring strained. Strained it while playing catch yesterday.
Yeah, still early though. You don't know that it was Strider.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say he's done in a hamstring.
I'm not saying he's.
And also, we did this 3 years ago with exactly the Braves, like the same franchise, and they won the World Series. So it's hard to say that they're for sure out. But
Rudy, you're right. Jorge Soler will be available at the trade deadline again. So we are shaping up for them to just run them back entirely.
They can probably pick up Eddie Rosario. Jock Peterson is looking like he will be super cheap. Woof.
Oh my
god! Jock Peterson has been like the worst hitter I have ever seen ever.
Yeah,
he's like
that's first Lightyear to you.
He's in CH.
Did you guys see the pictures of him with his like hood thing? That's Buzz Lightyear to you.
Dude, your Oprah streak is going to infinity and beyond, brother.
So I wish I had read this article, but I did see an article, and the concept behind it is definitely like makes me a little bit nervous about this Braves offense because it was basically breaking down like this was a world-beating offense 2 years ago. They were much closer to average last year, and they are not world-beating this year. Like what happened? And it was something to do with pitchers having figured out how to beat their swing path, basically. Like a lot of the roster utilizes a similar swing path. So pitchers have sort of strategized to attack that differently in a way that actually maybe this is kind of a realistic, like this is the new normal, but this offense is not what it was in 2023. And that to me is concerning. That to me is one of the biggest warning signs. Again, I wish I had read the article to talk about it more, but if this Braves offense is not what it once was, that to me is one of the biggest warning signs of this team is not going to come back to life in the way that it is required to make, I mean, certainly to win the NL East, but also it's going to be tough to grab a wild card spot in the NL. So,
and Rudy, I'll give you credit. You got on here in the offseason and you talked about saying, like, I might be a little bit worried about the Braves. And I think we had a very productive dialogue, but I was the one throwing water on it, being like, yeah, but like, I think they'll be fine. And
I thought the Braves were going to win the NL East this year coming in.
Well, I just like their manager seems like he's on a retirement tour. He seems like checked out. Acuna's clearly got beef with Jared Kelenic, which is really funny. Throw that tweet up, editors. That was crazy. Like they just seem like a locker room right now that like there is nothing worse. They're not as bad as the 2023 Cardinals. They're not. But a big thing with teams like this, when you're good for so long, is that you have this idea of like, well, we should be better. We should be better. We should be better. And if you're constantly just are existing in that headspace, then you never dig yourself out because every single thing starts to add up. And I don't think this will happen to them, but like that is how a season gets away from a team that has some semblance of expectation. And so I think that these next 3-4 weeks until Acuna is firmly back is going to be a good testament to like, if you can just keep your head above water and get Strider and Acuna back, then it's like, all right, like, let's go.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think just especially, I kind of already said this, but especially with how their division is and how much they are fighting an uphill battle to begin with, just to try and grab a playoff spot in what's a pretty tough NL field. They don't have time to hang around.
And also, I mean, the benefit is also like Philly is like 13-10. Like there's just a lot of, there's a surprising number of teams are just kind of hanging around in a way that, But
also the Giants were not supposed to be a real factor in the NL wildcard race in the way that they might be. I mean, might be.
I mean,
but,
the problem would be is like if all these teams are roughly in the kind of good factor, when you go through a stretch like the Braves did, even if it's early, that's not great. Digging out of a hole is not fun. Like I think that could be like tough for psyche. Like even if this team does start playing better, like Strider comes back, Acuna comes back. Like there are still like minor holes in the lineup, but even if they start playing more like they were, you're still down like the whole time. You're playing uphill. And
what I will say though,
that's good for the team.
If you're gonna have what are they, 9-13 right now? If you're gonna have a stretch like that, man, I would rather have it in mid-April than mid-September.
For sure.
And being 9-13 when you started 0-8 isn't that bad.
No, they put together a win streak. That's like
they lost their first 8 games of the season.
Yeah. They're on a little 4-game winning streak right now.
This feels very similar to what Houston did last year, where Houston, like, the gears did not turn for the first month and a half, and then by the end of it, you looked up and it was like, oh, there they are hosting the wild card round.
Yeah. Yeah,
but the Braves don't have the luxury of playing in last year's AL West.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have faith that the Mets.
Respect the Halos, dude. We can talk about. Well, let's talk about the Angels next. Actually, man.
I don't have faith that the Mets pitching is going to hold up and be as good as it has been.
The gift of that guy, though. That's me with this Angels team, dude. I'm thinking a little bit.
The Phillies lineup is. I don't have faith that I think the Phillies starting pitching is unreal. I don't think their bullpen is great. I think losing Jeff Hoffman is a huge loss. He's been awesome in Toronto so far. But I think their lineup needs some depth. They're missing at least one decent bat in the outfield to help them not suck. Like
Shane, can you think of an outfielder that's disgruntled right now that perhaps would do well to play center field for the Phillies? If you had to,
I don't think Luis Robert's going anywhere. I think he's gonna be bad this first half. To be honest, I don't know.
you gotta free him though.
Like they're gonna move him. I just think
go.
that I think there's a thing there where if he has a bad first half, I can see the White Sox just being like, we're not selling low, quote unquote.
Woof.
That's
Tommy
with it.
Tommy Edman just made up for his 3-run homer with an awful attempted catch in center field.
Hey, well, the issue is that he's being paid $15 million a year to let Mookie Betts cosplay at shortstop, dude. That's atrocious. It's malpractice to my short king to make him play center field.
It's better than Page's not there though. I've seen those routes. I've seen Page's there.
Oh, Andy, sorry.
Yes.
Pedro Pages, the LA Dodgers center fielder.
Well, no, Pedro Pages plays second base for the Cardinals in a game this year, and he was not bad.
I did see that.
Because there was a random, a guy to come out with cramps, and they were like, who can take ground balls well? And Pages was like,
I got it.
Who wants to see me do some blocking?
To put a bow on the Braves discussion a little bit, Carson, I want to call back to what you said about Snicker, and I do think to the extent that a manager matters and makes a real difference for the team, I think that's going to be a tough factor for them this year. I mean, multiple years ago, I was kind of surprised he was still around. I feel like he's a guy that's been behind the 8 ball on a lot of using analytics, and I don't have empirical evidence to back this up, but to me that's kind of how it's felt like that's his approach to managing for a while now. And so when you go through multiple seasons of we won the World Series, we're running it back with a lot of the same guys and we should be this good, and the wheels are starting to fall off, I think that has to be one of the first places you look. So I feel like I'm not calling for Snicker's head right now as the manager or as manager of the Braves. Maybe there are people who are, but to me that seems like a point where at some point that especially when there are concerns with clubhouse culture, that's something that might just not be doing it for you anymore.
Well, it's interesting because I just I don't know, Skip Schumacher's sitting at home right now, dude. If you want to detonate and make the I don't know, dude. There's a very viable option that I think the reason Skip Schumacher didn't take a job this year is there was no team that had a real chance at making the playoffs that was hiring. And I feel like if Atlanta was like, hey, at the All-Star break, we need a jump start. What do you think? Hey.
It's a weird way to pronounce Mike Matheny, but.
Oh, good God, man.
Honestly, I mean.
To me, Skip Schumacher is the way of, if any team is in a desperate oh man, we need to mid-season, and it's Atlanta as a team that would maybe need to do that.
Yeah.
At around the break or something. I don't know. I feel like Skip Schumacher is the guy you call for that.
I'm sorry, I'm having a mental breakdown because of what the fuck is happening in Cleveland right now. Oh my God.
What is happening?
Cleveland has scored 3 runs this inning on exit velocities of 91.2, 50.3, 69.1, and
nice.
35.5.
Nice.
Yeah, that's Cleveland baseball right there.
Also, 91 exit velo is a good hit, brother. Get over yourself.
Yeah, it's fine. But the fact that is your hardest hit ball in a 3-run rally.
Yeah, dude. Enjoy. Experience Midwest baseball, dude. Experience it.
the marquee broadcast.
The Cleveland Stadium needs to be burned to the ground.
It's very nice. As someone that was just there,
dude,
2
I
weeks
hate
ago.
I saw something that was Progressive Field got a big facelift this year, and I clicked on the article and it was we put in some new fancy suites in left field, and that's it. It's what?
Yeah, it. I'll be honest. The location of the park is great. It's very. I don't know. There is something to be said about a park that is downtown and is not offensive to look at, and it checks both of those boxes. So
totally.
Does it stand out in any really unique way? No, but in that sense, if PSA, Cleveland's a wonderful place. Give it a not a bad time to. Cedar Point's great. It's about an hour outside.
That's what Joakim Noah said. Okay, come on now.
Yeah, well, he went to college at UF, and I have no desire to go to Gainesville, Florida anytime soon. The stadium's nice. It's in a cool place. And what I didn't know is when they rebranded to the Guardians and they talked about the bridge, I was like, oh, that's really cool. I had no idea that the bridge that they got the inspiration from is literally right next door. Like, I was like, oh, it just must be some bridge in Cleveland. It is literally the one that, like, fans from the suburbs and a lot of other parts of Cleveland proper, like, get to the stadium from. I was like, that's so cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's nice.
So, you know, I will rest my case of banging my drum for them to become the Cleveland Spiders just because of that. You know, the history, it passes the history test. But yeah, I don't know. Atlanta, interesting. If you want to talk about another team like this, I want to talk about the Twins, man.
Ugh.
I think they're well done. I think they're well done. I think they're going to sell.
But who?
Lopez?
Maybe, but he's coming off a down year. Like, similar to what Shane talked about with Robert, where, like, you can just convince yourself of, like, we're just going to park the bus for the year because I don't know how much value we're really going to get. Like, a lot of their guys, I don't know. Unless you're thinking about selling off like Joe Ryan, but I don't think they are.
I don't know why you would, honestly.
That's right, exactly. Like, that's
none of the thing is division is so weak that, like, you can just convince yourself. Like, I know they've already done it year in, year out, but, like, who says change? Like, I don't know.
It's very, I don't know. And it's just one of those things as well where if that's another, like, front office that astounds me in the decision making that they had. Like, cutting payroll after they just seem reluctant to commit to winning. And I don't know how I don't know what you do. They just feel stuck in the middle.
Yeah. And it's I don't know. Like, obviously the character of those central divisions is made by the fact that teams are not choosing to go for it. But, like, it feels like for any given team then it's right there. And, like, sometimes what will happen is what, you know, the trajectory for the Royals has been this last couple of years where things came together nicely in 2024. And those guys are not, you know, going to do that forever. They're already on the older side. Like, it's not necessarily sustainable. But at some point here, the Twins have gone years without doing much of substance aside from we have Carlos Correa and we've brought it back.
And this is the year Royce Lewis doesn't get hurt.
Oh, sorry, please.
Well, I mean,
I was saying, and I know, Drew, that's my joke, is the Twins are saying we have Carlos Correa and this is the year no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I think it's a fine
players, though. It's like their starting rotation, like, you look at it and it's
good.
Like, they have interesting guys like Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez. Like, they have two young prospects. Like, they have dudes.
I like Joey
Matthews a lot. I'm like, I look at the lineup and it's like, I don't know, like, if Bucks. I mean, we just make the joke about being healthy, but it's even like like Larnach hits the ball hard. Like, Ty France has had a year where he's okay. Like, I mean, Harrison Bader is, like, at least, like, an MLB caliber player, like, out in the outfield. Like, they have players. Like, it's not a tough division, even if they are mediocre.
Their bullpen is nails. Their bullpen is nails to an insane degree.
Once again, if it's healthy.
Yes, but, like, Sands is healthy, Jax is healthy, Duran is healthy. Like, okay.
Yeah, but you like,
I mean, even Varland,
it's the same thing. Yohan Duran, he's never healthy for the whole season. Never.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I'd argue it doesn't matter, though, if your 7th and 8th inning guys are closers for 22.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, I mean, you can't have a bullpen with 2 or 3 guys.
That's kind of what I'm getting at, though.
That's the thing. And, like, they have guys all along the organization who are interesting. It's just they're a team that always
definitely.
They always end up being, like, less than the sum of their parts. Maybe they lean too hard into, like, a single profile. I feel like all their pitchers are the same. Like, all their hitters fall into that same, like, passive strikeout power. Like, I don't know. They're just a weird team. I just can never. They always should be so much better.
Well, and that's the issue, right? Is I think that's if you're the front office, you're almost hamstrung by this idea that you're like every year, right? If you have multiple years in a row where it's like, oh, we should be greater than the sum of our parts, and then you're not, you're less. I can understand you thinking, you know, well then, yeah, let's just run it because at a certain point it has to click. And it did one time. They beat the Blue Jays in that playoff series, and like they had the year that they were supposed to have. I think that's like what? That wasn't that the year Buxton played like 105?
19, right? Bomba Squad?
No, I'm referring to 2022, 2023.
That might have been Buxton's bad year, actually.
22 was the year that they also lost to the Yankees in the division series.
Yes, but they beat the Blue Jays in the wild card.
True.
Like my point being is like they did what I would expect them to do as like if all of this comes together, which is, hey, we were competitive, we won the division, we won a playoff series, and we were a tough out in the second round because we just didn't have the superstar power. That's, minus winning the playoff series, that's what the Brewers try to do every year. And they're pretty similar in terms of how they try to go about things. So, yeah, I don't know.
They're similar, but they have such different profiles, which I think is fascinating.
Yes.
It works so much better for the Brewers. Like they do so much, like they make so much out of nothing in terms of pitching. They throw a bunch of they all throw multiple fastballs. Like they're always like guys who like you think they suck and they somehow like pitch 130 innings or decent. And then like the whole lineup is speed.
Tobias Myers.
Not Tobias Myers, the guy this year that Shane, you and I were talking about, who throws like literally my exact pitch mix from high school.
Chad Patrick?
Yes.
I'm obsessed with Chad Patrick.
You're just
maybe
four-seam, two-seam, cutter, change-up, nothing that actually like say no to break, dude. Say no to say no to horizontal
fastballs like 70% of the time. Unbelievable. Neither are hard. It's so good.
Shane, I have to tell you because Palante is pitching the most Palante experience I've ever seen in my life. Ready? Ground ball out, weak ground ball, infield hit, walk, strikeout. Legendary, dude.
There we go.
Say no to earned runs.
Wow. His peak being Eric Fetty is gonna be fantastic. The throne is
dude. I'm telling you, like he's keeping that seat warm. When Eric Fetty gets traded for Kobe Mayo because the Orioles are so desperate.
God, Orioles. I mean, they do love that profile.
Colin Gray is going to be the Orioles Game 3 starter, Rudy. That's somehow going to be...
No. The Cubs need him, bro. So
that's a concern.
They actually... Sorry, I'm jumping back in. I don't know what you guys were talking about. They just showed a ridiculous... I was talking about the insane schedule the Cubs are playing. Mm-hmm. They just showed for Imanaga. He's starting tonight against the Dodgers. This is his 6th start of the year. And he has faced the Dodgers twice, the Padres twice, the Rangers, and the Diamondbacks.
Ouch. And he's come out pretty clean. Like
he's come out pretty good. I mean, three-run first year, but yeah, that's
but the Cubs offense picked him up a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot.
A lot. Here's my transition. Pete Crow-Armstrong, bro, he's here. Holy. He started the year really bad offensively. He's gotten the WRC plus back up over 100. It's 117 right now. He's top 10 in F4 among qualified position players.
Makes sense. Great
defense matters.
That's always the thing.
Yeah. Sorry, he's 11.
I'm not touching.
If he can be streaky, because he's always going to have the low walk rate and swing a ton. If he can just have periods of time where he's hitting above his weight and running like crazy and being a demon on the base pass and playing awesome center field, then who cares? That's a great player. That's awesome in the lineup.
That's a 3.5 to 4 WAR center fielder, which is really valuable.
Yeah, you take that every day. That's what I don't know. So many prospects are supposed to be that guy, and then they don't pan out. I mean, I'm thinking about Christian Pache mostly, but it's the kind of guy. Yeah,
the big return for Matt Olson, dude.
Yeah, but it's the kind of guy where, when you're giving him that level of prospect status, it's the defense and the speed you can dream on so much that the bat has to be okay, has to be decent. And
I mean, I think
the defense and the speed are genuinely there at the major league level in a way that nobody else in the big leagues has.
Oh, well, Chandler Simpson.
But Chandler Simpson is zero power. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'm just saying if we can't have the speed argument that Chandler Simpson already. That dude's played 4 games, and I'm God, that would piss me off so bad if I was playing against him.
Yeah, where it's just off ground ball to first base, and he beats the pitcher to the base.
Yeah, dude. I literally, when Max Fried beat him to first, I literally would have done this to the dugout. I'd have been like, yeah, I'm keeping that ball. Like, on my trophy case, dude.
Max Fried was like full sprint to first base there. It was so funny.
Like, I was legitimately very impressed with Fried's athleticism. I'm not kidding. I would have been like, I want that ball. Like, that, it was crazy.
But, you know, with Pete Crow-Armstrong, what I mean, like the defense and speed combo. I mean, I don't know Chandler Simpson that well. Obviously, he's crazy fast. But like, even when you read his prospect report, it's like currently 40 grade fielding, could be 60, and it says you know he has a big long term ceiling in center field. Pete Crow-Armstrong is currently that ceiling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're really not that good of a comparison, honestly.
No. I misheard the power speed combo. I just heard speed, and I was just.
Oh, did I say power speed? I maybe meant defense speed. Like, that's definitely.
Oh, sorry. I mean, you may have said defense and speed, but my brain latched onto the speed comment because I was like, oh yeah, I remember I just watched Chandler Simpson, you know, play like
be crazy,
like hair on fire, like monkey crashing.
Oh
symbol. Like that's legit what it looks like to watch him run.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching run, insert the clip here, editor. Who saw the clip of Pete Alonso running to third base?
I did.
That was good stuff.
His legs flying out like the side of his hips.
What in God's name happened? Like,
gotta wait on those legs, okay? It's hard to keep moving. All right. Good stuff.
I was
what we didn't get was the clip before that at bat of him deadlifting in the locker room.
Him sitting there
with his home run derby chain on.
How many years in a row can you lose a home run derby before you are no longer yeah, this is my thing.
Gimmick is up.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
that was hilarious.
That made me feel good about myself. I'm just like, you know what?
That's a professional athlete.
You put Pete Alonso in street clothes and you show that clip to somebody, like, what's that guy do?
Electrician.
Like that men's softball league. He must hit.
Yeah. I think that's Rob in IT. I think that's Rob. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he played D3. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God.
I think a real polar bear runs better than that.
Probably. They apparently are fast. I think that's actually a fair comp. There you go. Polar Digest, dude, or Bear Digest. I don't like that one either.
We'll workshop it.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of workshopping this evening.